Dr. Hovind, I love your doctoral thesis. I've torn it to pieces with house and gaffle. I can't remember when I last pissed myself laughing. It's a good thing the thesis mopped the piss off the floor.
Welcome to part 63 of this read-through and peer review of Kent Hovind's doctoral dissertation, which was published on wikileaks.org on December the 9th, 2009. If you have not yet seen the earlier parts in this series, then I recommend that you go back and see those first, as in this episode I will start off exactly where I finished off in the last. In the last episode, Kent told us that we can't be sure how far away stars are. He briefly detailed the parallax method used for measuring the distance of stars up to 1,600 light-years away, and then completely skips past the redshift method, which is used for computing the distances from all other stars and galaxies, presumably because light travelling for several billion years would completely destroy his argument that the universe is only 6,000 years old. But anyway, we'll let Kent continue. How old is the Earth? I believe that the Earth is only 6,000 to 7,000 years old. Yes, Kent, and we've already established that you're a dipshit, and that the evidence and proofs that you've provided to back this claim up is completely null and void, based on erroneous assumptions, faulty maths, and obsolete theories. Tell us more, Kent. I taught high school science for 14 years, and for 3 years taught college-level science. Yes, Kent, and we so do pity your students. I mean, if the crap that you've put in your doctoral dissertation is anything to go by, you can't have taught science very well. I mean, for a start, it appears that you don't seem to understand most of it. But do go on. I'm convinced that much of our modern science, especially relating to evolution, is an absolute joke. That may be the case, Kent, and you're perfectly entitled to be convinced by whatever you choose. But what isn't a joke, what is positively criminal, is the disadvantage that you placed your students at by insisting that you teach them your particularly brand of hokey-pokey, magic-inspired bullshit, supported by ancient manuscript and demonstrated as in these pages of your doctoral dissertation. I reel in horror at the thought of the sheer number of minds that you've stunted, the students you've held back in all those 15 years teaching homeschooled kids science, or at least what you consider to be science. And I can only sit here and contemplate at just how dumb the parents must have been to consider that employing the town clown to educate their children was a good idea. But before I get any angrier, let's move on. Kent continues. We are in the same position as the people in the days before Columbus, when people were teaching that the earth was flat, or when they taught the doctrine of humours or draining the blood to cure illnesses, and many other wrong conclusions of science. Well, Kent, from what I've written, the science that you seem to advocate seems to originate, and seems to have not progressed any further than that era. You certainly seem to disregard, and most strongly campaign against, most scientific theories that have been put forward since that time. And when you're in a classroom and the person at the head of the class is espousing medieval bullshit, I think you'll probably find that the person at the head of the class is you. But anyway, they were very wrong. Science has a long history of being dogmatically wrong. Bloody hell, Kent. Step away from the banana and put the lid on the jar of peanut butter. Next, you're going to be telling us that the people who originally domesticated and subsequently bred large dogs into small dogs so that they could fit in our family-sized cars. Any more statements like that and I'm going to be forced to beat you with my clue stick. Let's put it this way, shall we, Kent? Science may have a history of being wrong, but the point is that that wrongness was identified and corrected. Modern science is where it is today because scientists have looked at those theories that were accepted in their day and refined them, corrected them, or completely dismissed them. They've put forward better theories, which in turn has led to better understanding, when those theories were in turn refined or dismissed or improved. If there's one thing, and one thing alone, that has been proved to be dogmatically wrong, then that will be your dusty old book, your Holy Bible. It's dogmatic because you're not allowed to question it. It holds authority because it says it holds authority. And it's wrong because so many things in it have since been proved to be completely absurd and contrary to what is observed in the world, in the universe around us today. But do continue. I believe that one of the areas in science and the Bible that needs to be restudied is the critical issue of the age of the earth. Yes, Kent, we've gathered that. This will prove to be the undoing of the doctrine of evolution. Yes, Kent, only if you can somehow dismiss 150 years of science. I doubt you can, so it won't. The hypothesis of evolution has had preeminence in our public teaching for about the last 30 to 40 years. It's not a hypothesis, Kent, it's a theory. But continue. Darwin's book, published in 1860, really started the controversy going. That's because it's correct, Kent, and fucktards like you can't accept that. There have been groups teaching evolution for several thousand years. The Egyptians taught a form of evolution saying that life evolved from the slime along the Nile River. And I suppose you're going to say that that's because they read Charles Darwin's Origin of Species. No? Oh well, that makes a change. Today we trace our modern evolutionary movement to Darwin. Darwin's book became almost universally accepted within 10 years of its release in 1860. Yes, Kent, that's because people read it and thought, bloody hell, that makes sense. You know, a bit like when Einstein postulated the theory of relativity. That made sense too, and was almost universally accepted straight away. Toward the end of the 19th century, it was extremely difficult to combat this teaching of evolution. Yes, Kent, and that's a testament to the mountain of evidence that they already had. Darwin's theory, that of evolution by means of natural selection, was really just the last piece in the puzzle, so to say. Scientists have been observing evolution for years upon years. It was just the actual mechanism that eluded them. The idea of evolution was not unknown to scientists in Darwin's day. The pattern of evolution is overwhelming. And as you say, even Darwin's grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, wrote about it in his books.